Welcome to InDesign Secrets, episode 326. I'm David Blatner, and I'm here along with my fabulous co-host, Anne-Marie Concepción.
Hello, David. And remember that InDesign Secrets is the essential resource for all things InDesign, brought to you by CreativePro Network.
And what the heck are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about anchored and inline objects, which is pretty tweaky, but it's going to be awesome. We have a great interview with the CTO and co-founder of PageProof, Marcus Radich. We haven't talked with him for a while, so we're going to get him on.
And he's got some news, too.
And some news.
Yes.
Yeah, not a lot of news. A little news.
A lot of news. Yeah, okay.
And then the obscure feature of the week.
Eek.
Standard carriage return.
Yeah.
Which
Standard carriage return. Yes.
I can't
Back
find
when
it.
InDesign used to be done with manual typewriters.
Right.
And you had to go ding, ding, to start a new line.
Right.
It is there. I will show it to you.
Okay. All right. I'm looking forward to this one.
Okay.
Anchored objects.
Anchored objects. Those are objects that flow with the text flow. So any object that you can select with your selection tool, you can cut it and you can switch to the type tool. You can click inside some type and paste. And then as you edit the type, that object will flow with the type, just like in Microsoft Word. If you're writing in Word and you insert a picture or something like that, the picture flows with the text. That's essentially what it is.
Essentially, it is.
Basically,
but
simply put.
That I thought for sure when I said anchored objects, you were going to make a joke about really heavy objects, like objects that won't move.
No, I was almost going to sing Anchors Away, but I decided not to inflict that on you.
Okay, thank you. That is actually not an anchored object. What you just described is not an anchored object. And this is one of the most common tweaky little differences, but I feel compelled to point it out that there are three different kinds of objects that are in text. One is an anchored object, one is an inline object, and one is a above text object.
So, but I want to split hairs here, that the icon is always the same of an anchor when something is an inline object or an anchored object or a custom mainline. And the menu item is object, anchored object for all those kinds.
Okay, so
they're all anchored objects.
That is actually quite compelling. You're right. They are anchored objects. But under the category of anchored object,
all right,
there are three kinds.
Go with you there. Okay.
So what you described, you grab an object with a selection tool, and then you cut it to the clipboard, and you switch to the type tool, and you put your cursor inside text, and you paste. When you do that, you get an inline object. It's inline because it acts like its own character in the text, right? It'll actually flow. It's literally a character in the text that flows anywhere, so as you type, it moves.
And you can apply some character and paragraph formatting to it as well. You could move it up and down the baseline.
You can. You can literally drag it up and down a little bit, not very far, but a little bit up and down. You can see it in the story editor. One of my favorite tips about working with inline or anchored objects is of the best ways to move them. I find them really a hassle to move. But if you open the story editor,
and even though it's an inline object, what is the icon in story editor?
It's an anchor.
Oh, look at that. It's an anchor. Okay,
it is an anchor.
Continue.
Okay, good. You're right. It is a little anchor icon. I'm getting all blurry. I'm so excited. So you can actually take that and drag it around in there, or copy and paste or whatever.
Right.
Now, there is another thing that is technically called an anchored object. And the easiest way to get that is to not use the technique that we just talked about. You don't copy or cut with the selection tool and paste with the type tool. Instead, you select the object, and whenever you select almost any object in InDesign, there'll be a little box in the upper right corner.
Blue box, or whatever color of the layer you're on, to be exact.
Right. So usually blue, because that's the blue layer. But yeah, whatever. There'll be a little box in the upper right corner along the top edge, and you can drag that, and that is the anchored object control thing icon. I don't know. So you drag that on top of text, and as you're dragging it around on top of text, you'll get a little black bar, and the black bar indicates if you let go of the mouse button, it'll be anchored here in this point.
Right. It'll look like nothing has changed after you do that.
Yes. That's
but
the difference.
then as you start editing text, it starts, the object moves.
So an inline object acts literally like a character and it moves around in your text, but an anchored object will can sit outside the text frame. It can be anywhere on the page, anywhere on the spread, really.
That's true.
And it will move. It'll typically just move by default. It moves up or down, but it won't move left or right. It'll just move up and down by default.
That's correct. Yes.
And you can change that. You can change it to.
I think if you had a line to or from page spine, I think it might move in that case. Would it?
It will move. Well, that's the. To learn about that, you need to know about the anchored options. The anchored object options dialog box. So, once you have an object anchored, you can right-click on that little anchor icon that you pointed out. You can right-click on it, or you can go to the object menu, go down to anchored objects, and choose options.
Right.
And inside options, there are 3 options, and that's where those 3 different types come in.
Under position.
Under the position pop-up menu. So you can do custom, which a custom anchored object, which is what I'm calling an anchored object, an inline, or an above line. That's where you get the option for those 3 things. Wow, this is probably one of the hardest topics we've ever had in 326 podcasts.
That's true.
Trying to explain
without
showing
the video, without showing our screens. Yeah. I know. But other things to know would be that the custom anchored option is a godsend because you can just put the object where you want it and then anchor it, and the end. Then it moves. You don't have to try to finagle it to look like something different, like you have to with an inline or above line object. And also, another cool thing about custom anchored objects is that if you go to the view menu and you go down to extras and choose show text threads, it will show you where that custom anchored object is anchored to in the text.
Yes.
Starting from the point of the object, the control handle, the right corner, the upper middle corner, what's connected. And those things you can change in anchored object options.
In the options dialog box, you can say that options dialog box lets you control exactly what corner or side handle of the object should be moved to what point on the page or relative to the frame or whatever.
Yeah. So you're trying to align the top of a call out next to a section of your text. So you have a margin note or something like that. You want to align the top of it to the top of to the first line of the section, for example. So these are the kind of controls that you can get from the options. And once you have it set, you can save that as an object style.
Yes.
So that you create another object and you custom anchor it anywhere, and then you apply the object style to it, and it will go ahead and rearrange itself so that the top aligns with whatever it's supposed to align with.
So I think in some ways what we're trying to describe the feature itself, but we also just want to give you a bunch of tips for using these things because they are complex. They do take some time to wrap your head around, but they are incredibly powerful. So what you just said, 2 things that you said are so important. One is turn on text threads, show text threads, so you can see where it's anchored in the text frame. Super important. And it's weird. It's why text threads? It has nothing to do with text threads, but anyway, that's what you use to turn it on. And then the second thing is make object styles. Oh my gosh. Essential when working with anchored objects. If you're going to have more than 2 or 3 of these, you've got to turn it into an object style. So important.
Another cool thing about custom object anchored objects is that you can apply text wrap to them.
Yes.
And you cannot apply text wrap to inline. Well, kind of. I mean, like every line except for the except for the top, the paragraph where the object is anchored.
Right.
So where that little dotted line ends up in the text flow, that line will not wrap because it's beyond, they have to find a way to put a man on the moon first before they can figure out how to make the first line wrap around an anchored object.
So it'll wrap anything after the line
after
it's
that
on.
it'll work. Right.
So it won't wrap previous paragraph. It won't line, as you said, it won't wrap the line it's on, but it'll do text wrap. Text wrap will affect subsequent lines.
So the tip there is what?
My favorite tip is if you need it to wrap, like if you have a whole paragraph that you want it to wrap around a whole paragraph, anchor it at the end of the previous paragraph.
Right.
Just or somewhere in the previous paragraph. Just
Yeah.
make sure that it's up there. Yeah, anyway, you got the idea. Good.
Okay.
No, that is super, super important. What are other good tips for working with? Oh, I want to go back to
ahead.
the 3 types of anchored objects again.
Yes.
I'm really fixated on this today.
Go ahead.
So we talked anchored objects can be anywhere on the spread. Inline objects can be any kind of text, but above line objects are very rarely used, and I want people to use them more because it turns out they're really, really helpful. They're so efficient. Here's a good example. You've got an object that you want maybe it's an image that goes with a caption, or
Okay.
it's a line divider, some kind of special divider between 2 paragraphs that you always, you just want a cool little divider, that section divider. People usually put those on their own line. For example, they'll make a blank line. They'll put an inline object on that line, and then set that line to auto, because auto is a great way to
For auto-letting.
Sorry, auto-letting. Auto-letting will be as large as the object should be, et cetera, et cetera. So the inline method works for putting stuff in between 2 paragraphs, but the above line feature actually works even easier. It's just way easier. You could attach an image or a divider or whatever to the beginning. You could anchor it at the beginning of a paragraph, and then you go into anchored options and you say make it an above line, and
Right.
it'll automatically make the space for you, and there's automatically space above and below. So in the anchored object options dialog box, there is a space above and space below for whatever's anchored. Super easy, really efficient, and most people don't even know that feature's there. That should
Yeah.
have been one of our obscure features, above line.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That
dang.
would be a good one.
Oh well. So above line is great whenever you want it to take the entire column, and you want it between 2 paragraphs. Use the above
Right.
line. And by the way, you can set space above, space below, and you can set horizontal alignment. So you can say automatically center it, or automatically go to the outside margin away from the gutter, or you've got all those controls. So
That's right.
whenever you need something that's centered in the middle of a column, above a paragraph, use above line.
Yep.
Okay, I'm
There
done.
you go. I think the last thing we should mention is how to make them unanchored,
Oh, yep.
right? And you can just select it with your selection tool and cut and paste.
Yep.
That will unanchor them. No switching of tools necessary.
Isn't that weird? I got to say that you can delete it. There's an option in the anchored object pop-up menu,
Okay.
anchored objects, to delete it. But there's no one that says just unanchor it.
There is. Release.
Oh, geez. Seriously? Am I completely forgetting about that?
I think you did.
I completely forgot
Release.
about that.
Please
Object.
release me. Let me go.
Oh, there is release. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Why?
Is there really? Is there a delete? I didn't think there was a delete.
Oh,
Maybe
am
you
I
got 'em
completely?
confused.
Am I just hallucinating now?
I think you were.
I am completely
Object,
hallucinating.
anchored object. Right. There's no delete. There's just release. There's options, insert, and release. Here you go.
Okay.
Okay.
I've actually never used this program, so I am.
You're just the
Wow.
kind of guy that never needs to get rid of anchored objects. Once they're there, they're there.
Absolutely.
And you've never needed to get rid of one.
Darn
so.
tootin'. The truth of the matter is, this looks like David, but it's actually an AI, and I'm hallucinating right now. The AI is hallucinating features that don't even exist.
All right.
That's a little embarrassing. Okay,
all right.
that's how you
Happens
release it. You either do what you just said, which is you cut and paste with the
Right.
selection tool, or, as I meant to say, you could go to the menu and choose release.
Right. Anchored object release. Okay.
Okay, moving along.
Moving right along. I think we want to talk about. Is it?
Wait, is there? Let me
Oh.
just go through our list. Is there anything else we didn't cover? We talked about text wrap.
You have as a tip: turn on prevent manual positioning.
Oh yeah, once you set these things, especially
The custom anchored
the
objects.
custom anchored objects, turn on. There's a checkbox in that dialog box that says prevent manual positioning, because I am forever. Maybe I'm just moving too fast in InDesign. I don't know, but I'm forever just like click and drag it and it moves it. I'm like, I didn't mean to do that. So if you have an object style, you could remove your local formatting from the object style. That would work. But just turn on that checkbox, and then it just won't move from where it's supposed to be. That's good.
Good idea.
And the other tip that I wanted to mention was this is something that people ask all the time. Can you set the anchored object behind the text?
Oh, right.
Or above the text? Can you? Typically, it's behind, and the answer is no. I mean, that's not even a tip. The answer is just no.
Right.
You can't tell InDesign where to move it behind the Z order. There is a weird workaround that an inline object can go behind the text above it. So if you have an inline object, like earlier we were saying, you can drag it.
Go behind the text above it. Okay, go ahead.
So you put an inline object, let's say on a line by itself, and then you can click on it and drag it up. And when you drag it up, it actually goes behind the text. But as we said earlier, you can't drag it very far. I think you could drag it as far as tall as the object is itself. So you can kind of fake it behind the text, behind the previous paragraph.
But it probably will cause issues, I would think.
When printing? What doesn't really cause issues? Okay. No, it should. No, it'll print fine. It's not a printing issue. It just, I don't know. It's something. Okay, moving along. Now I'm willing to let go of anchored inline above line objects.
That's good.
And we'll put links. We've got a bunch of links we'll put in the show notes that go into details. Lori Rulin has done a great article and a great video about this stuff. We're going to put links to her stuff on CreativePro, etc. So good stuff for you to follow up on later.
That's right.
Phew.
All right. I think it's time to bring in Marcus.
Marcus Radich, our interviewee. We haven't talked with Marcus for a while, so let's bring him back in.
All right. Now it's time for our featured segment of the podcast, and that is the interview with our friend Marcus Radich from PageProof. Marcus, hello. Welcome from New Zealand.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, as always. Calling in from sunny New Zealand. It's
that's right.
Change of hemisphere, which is interesting.
It does. Keeps everybody on their toes.
I'm dreaming of a sunny Christmas. Do you have those kind of songs down there? With beaches all around the world.
Well, we use American songs for our Christmas celebrations, so it just adds to the confusion.
It does. One of the things that happens in PageProof land in December, at least it has the past couple of years, is these 12 days of Christmas take off where you do 12 features of December. And all of a sudden, so you have been hard at work getting these new features out, and I'm so curious how that's going.
It's going really well. We have just put the last feature out today. And in fact, the last feature was increasing our accessibility of our proofing screen.
Oh, that's great.
So that has been something that we've been working on for a long time, because as we know, accessibility is a journey. We've taken a big step with the proofing screen just recently. So today was the last day, and we shipped that out. And
congratulations.
We're very happy about that.
Good. Did you ship out the partridge in a pear tree too?
Well,
12 days? No?
Yeah, we don't have either of those in the country, so I think they're still coming.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to import
12 kiwis. 12 kiwis in a eucalyptus tree or something like that.
Oh my gosh, that's so good! I love
that. Would be good. That would be good. So it occurs to me, you've been on the podcast a couple of times, and so you're very familiar to us, of course, and but a lot of people don't know about PageProof and the great work you're doing. PageProof, for those of you who don't know, PageProof is our favorite proofing solution for doing approval, commenting throughout the design process, whether you're in InDesign or Final Cut.
And you're using it. CreativePro is using it, isn't it?
We are. So we use it. We use it regularly for our website redesign, which we were going to talk about later. We have this big website redesign that's about to roll out. So we've been using it regularly, and not even InDesign stuff. This is website design, and it is just it's smooth. It's great, very powerful, And most of all, it's easy to use, and I love the fact that you can have virtually any size team, right? I mean, we've got a relatively small team, but you pay a certain amount, and then you just add people. You've got a freelancer, you add them. It's no additional fees per
That's
person
excellent.
you add. Right?
I love it. I love it like that. You know what, David? Maybe can we roll back a little bit? Marcus, give us like the elevator speech about what is PageProof and what does it let you do?
Sure.
I know we're very enthusiastic about it, but there's always new listeners to the podcast. So, Marcus, why don't you tell us what PageProof is about?
So PageProof is an online proofing platform designed to gather feedback on work. And we took a view when we started creating PageProof that, we started with the Adobe products where, at the time there was no way to really gather feedback on any of the design work you were doing. So we created PageProof for that. And since then we've added things like websites, banner ads. Figma is now new to the PageProof platform.
Congratulations.
Which is really great. And we've added Final Cut Pro as well. So anybody working in any design tool can send their work out to their team or out to their customers directly if they want to. They get a virtual red pen where they can mark up changes, and you get a set of changes that you can apply to the design and go through different versions. And there's a whole host of features in there.
And it's not just that you're integrating into the design tools, which is, if that's all you were doing, that would be enough. But you're also integrating into the workflow systems, which I think is also critical, whether it's Monday or Slack or any of these workflow systems, that you're just making it so part of people's systems that it just makes everything go so smoothly.
Yeah, so we looked at what we call the creative workflow, but there's also a marketing workflow. And so marketing teams work inside of Monday, Asana, those sorts of tools, and Slack and Microsoft Teams, and the list just keeps going on and on and on, which is great. It gives people options to bolt together the best solution for them, and we just integrate with all of them so that we give the people those options.
I think it's great. It's really so yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was the background.
Thank you
for
very
people
much. Yes.
who need to understand that part. But then, like you said, you just keep adding more. There's more features. So you've added Figma, you've added Final Cut Pro, you've added more.
Well, what are the other 12 features? The 12 days of Christmas.
12 days of Christmas. There's small little features. Each day is interesting. So, for example, one really interesting one that was a request was bookmarks. And I thought to myself, bookmarks. Okay, what's that about? Well, turns out when someone's inside of a catalog, and the catalog might be 64 pages, they've got to page 42 and the doorbell rings. So they can actually click and place a bookmark, go and do something else, come back, oh no, my browser just updated, where was I up to? They can just go back to the proofing screen, click on the bookmark, and go back to exactly where they were in the proof.
I've needed that. That's making me crazy. That's so great.
Good.
I didn't know that was in there. Thank you. So we're all learning as we go here. So that's good.
There's small things and large things. So, Final Cut Pro, for example, we've seen a huge uplift in people using Final Cut Pro. I believe it's from a performance point of view. It's very native to the Apple hardware, and rendering speeds are off the charts.
Wow.
Really fast. So you've got people sort of moving in that direction, and so we built a native plugin for that, and of course Figma, which we all know Figma's very, very popular. So we've got a native now plugin for Figma, which is great. So large and small features.
That said, for the rest of us, everyone listening here, we're InDesign users. So let's focus on InDesign just for a second. So in InDesign, you have a plugin that goes directly into the InDesign plugin menu, and so it's very easy to find. And it's tell us a little bit about how that workflow works or flows.
Yeah, so absolutely. So InDesign was one of the very, very first plugins. I think it was 2016, 2017, something around there. And the idea was, hey, I don't want to run two windows. I don't want InDesign and a browser open and try and figure out where the markup's going and those sorts of things. So we thought to ourselves, well, what if we could bring the markup into InDesign? So someone comments on the web, puts their markup on the proof, and I'm sitting in InDesign and I just hit the button and say, show me all the markup. And boom, we put the markup on top of the artwork, which means that not only you've got a comment, you've actually also got the squiggles and drawings that people did on the proof showing up on the proof as well. So that is the goal that we wanted to achieve, and we achieved it. It's a big part of people's workflows. And just recently we added being able to just swap out text. So if there's a piece of text in the comment, and you've got a piece, the text is highlighted in InDesign, you just press one button and it does the text change for you, which saves retyping, saves a copy.
Right. Make it so.
Yeah, make it so. Make it so.
Make it so feature.
Yeah. And the last one was placing images. So someone attaches an image into a comment, and now you can say place. We will save that into your links folder. Important, and then link it into the image box for you.
All right, so that's number 2 that I didn't realize. I don't think
David's
I've
head
seen
is
that.
About to explode. I can see it.
No, I don't know why I missed that one. That's a good one. That's really good.
It's excellent. Yeah.
It makes a big difference. Yeah, so the InDesign side of it is huge for us. We have
of course
a huge number of people using InDesign, and it's amazing. And of course, the same plugin works in Illustrator, also in Photoshop as well. So it's not just one tool. We actually support all the design tools.
So does it replace then PDF proofing, that kind of round that people are usually used to?
What we're finding is if you're PDF proofing with one person, fine. You probably PageProof is something that isn't necessary for that. Where PageProof really hits its stride is I've got 10 people and I've got 10 people's feedback that I now need to incorporate. That's where we really hit our stride. I would say, if it take, for example, maybe 4, if you say minimum 4 people start coming into a review process, you're going to get quite a bit of efficiency with PageProof over PDF.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that many people. I think the key word is workflow, because if you're simply sending comments back and forth between one person, like you said, it's relatively easy. But as soon as you have, I need this person to look at it, and then it goes to this person, and then it goes to legal, and then it's going to go to get a sign off. Then it goes to the boss, and then it comes to me. Anytime you've got multiple people and there's a workflow of one person needs to see it before somebody else, that too is unbelievably helpful with PageProof, because again, it's all about the flow of your work.
I think one of the most used features, or one of the ones we get comments on the most, is automated reminders. Now, if I know something, designers are busy people, and the last thing you need to do is herd cats, which is the process of chasing my reviewers. Please, where's my feedback? I mean, have you done it yet? Where is it? Actually, this person hasn't done it yet. I need their so. In PageProof, we have this feature called automated reminders that chases people who haven't left your feedback, and you don't need to. You, as a designer, just set it up, send it out, and then you get back into what you're doing, and PageProof will chase those reviewers for you.
Wow. It just feels like there's no doubt that Adobe has been doing great work with basic comment review, but when you need to take it to the next level, when you've got the team, when you need all of these add-ons, people just need to look at PageProof, and that's why we invite you. That's why we're so happy to have you as part of the CreativePro community. We invite you onto the podcast. People need to learn that there's stuff beyond what they're simply being fed by Adobe. So thank you so much for sharing some of this. It's just wonderful seeing you again. I'm so glad that those 12 days are finally over for you, that you can relax, I hope, into the holidays.
Enjoy yourself. Right.
Yes, absolutely. And it's
good.
It's good, and we get the feedback from our users. They love the 12 days of Christmas, and it carries through to next year. It's a whole lot of features that just keep on giving, which is really great.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So great. Right. So great. Anyway, thank you, Marcus, very much for being here.
Thank you, Marcus, so much. Take care. Have a wonderful holiday.
You too. Thank you very much.
Okay. That was great.
That was great.
So nice. And out there in New Zealand, did you notice? Like, I had some trouble understanding when he would say some words because of the New Zealand accent. I think he said, I can't remember. It was like, instead of saying, tricks, he said trox. I don't know, something like that. What did he say?
I'm so used to it now. I don't know.
I guess so. Interesting.
Okay. That's not the problem for me. Hey, we need to talk a little bit about some news. A little bit
about the news, yeah.
Some news. My news is that I went to see Wicked with my wife last night.
Okay.
And so I'm wearing this green shirt.
Which obviously is blue to everybody else who has eyeballs.
It does look really blue, doesn't it?
Yeah, something's happening with
That's a color issue.
I don't know, something. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to work on it.
Or the salesperson told you it was green, and everybody just pretended.
No, it's here.
I saw that. I saw an Alfred Hitchcock episode.
It's really green. I mean, it is like alphabet green. Seriously.
Okay.
Okay, that's my news. What else? What do you got?
I saw The Wild Robot.
Oh, I do like that.
Right, and I'm seeing Gladiator 2 tomorrow.
Ooh,
all right, but that's all for me as far as movies are concerned.
All right, here's some news that hasn't happened yet as of the time of us recording this. We're all waiting for InDesign 20.1. InDesign 20, which is InDesign 2025, came out, and they pretty quickly fixed a bunch of bugs, but there's a number of bugs that have not yet been fixed, and so we're all waiting for 20.1 to hit, and it hasn't yet. So we're assuming it will. One of the things that James Wamser, our friend James Wamser, pointed out, here's a great little bug. If you create a new document in InDesign 2025 currently, and in the new document dialog box, you say start on an even number, like start on page 2.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It starts the page numbering, like the auto page numbering, will say it's page 1. So page 2 actually shows up as page. Oops. But workaround, if you create it starting on page 1, and then once the document is created, you change page 1 to page 2 using the document numbering options.
Oh, I see.
Dialog box.
So it's just the new. Go ahead. Then it'll work.
Then it'll work.
So it's just the new document dialog box.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So it's a workaround.
And also a bunch of people have been reporting horrible slowdowns.
Oh, yeah.
Like they type a character and then the beach ball spins, type another character. Beach ball spins, knock on wood, that hasn't happened to me yet.
Yep.
So I'm okay.
I don't know what percentage of people, it has not happened to me either, but there's a bunch of comments on the forums about this, and people are going crazy.
Yeah.
There's some discussion that maybe it has to do with screen redraw, so some other workarounds. If you ever have any problems with InDesign, we should probably just do a whole episode on troubleshooting. But if you're having weird problems in InDesign, turn on or off GPU from the preferences dialog box or from the view menu. Try CPU instead of GPU. Obviously, quit and restart. All of those things. There was a problem. Do you remember that problem that happened? Was that last year? That there was horrible slowdowns when people had their ruler on.
Oh yeah.
And you turn off the rulers and everything got better. Weird stuff. So sometimes you just have to kind of wing it and see what'll work.
I remember the one where you had to get from Amazon. You had to get a rubber chicken and wave it around your head a few times, and then InDesign would redraw, and everything was cool. The rubber chicken bug.
Yes, the rubber chicken bug. I don't entirely remember that one, but next time something goes wrong, I will try that.
Okay,
for sure. All right, so that's some news. So the news is that we're waiting. Design and AI Summit
that just finished as we record this.
Yes, it was an awesome success. Early December. The registration's still available. You can get passes to get all the videos and handouts. Check that out. There were some really good ones. Angelo Montella did a session on InDesign and AI, which was terrific. So some interesting insights there.
Cool.
And you can get $100 off if you use the code CP Secrets, like CreativePro, CP Secrets, and you'll get $100 off. Or if you're a member,
if you're a member, then you get $125 off any multi-day pass.
Yep.
So that's one of your benefits.
Absolutely. And that's also good for the 2025 events. We have all the 2025 events open. The Presentation Design Conference, CreativePro Week, of course, is June 2nd through 6th in Phoenix, Arizona, or online. The Design and AI Summit, Design and Marketing.
And what about the new one? I'm so excited about the new one. What's the new one?
The new one is the InDesign Conference.
Yay!
We are bringing the InDesign Conference back December 2025.
That's right.
4 days of in-depth InDesign content. It's going to be
Online.
a blast. All online.
All online.
So you can be in Istanbul or
That's right.
Ottawa or anywhere and get access
The
to that.
InDesign Summit Conference.
The InDesign
Summit.
Conference.
The InDesign Conference. Okay, fine.
InDesign Conference. Keep it simple.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, all of that's available. You get discounts on all of it if you're a member or a podcast listener, and that's all we need to say about that. Awesome.
Okay. Okay. Now, time for the obscure InDesign feature of the week. Geek. It is standard carriage return.
Now,
Which,
I
yes,
just
go
have
ahead.
to say,
Yes.
usually Anne-Marie will send me one of these, or I'll send it to her, with
A few days
hours or
beforehand.
days
Yeah.
in advance.
Yes.
So Anne-Marie would send this to me, and I'll go around and look for it. Like, standard carriage return's got to be around here somewhere, and usually I'm pretty successful. But this time, she snuck it in literally before. Hey, I think we should do this one instead of the one
That's
that you
right.
came up with, David.
Yes.
So I'm like,
true.
I've had no time, and I don't know this one. I don't know where standard carriage return lives. So
All
tell
right.
us.
Well, Chris Capeters?
Yeah.
He's the one who actually brought it to my attention in a LinkedIn conversation.
Yay, Chris.
He said that he did a search and replace in Find Change for caret B to caret P. And I'm like, what is caret B? He said that is a carriage return. And it solved some problem that he was having. So I'm like, what? So if you go to InDesign and you open up Find Change in text, okay, and you go to the change to,
Yep.
you go to break character and you'll
Yep.
see standard carriage return.
Yep. That @ sign menu, either for find what or change to.
That's
It
right.
lives in both of
For
those
either
places.
one.
Break
So-
character, standard.
Right. It's different.
Carriage.
It's different from the end of paragraph marker, which is caret P. And you won't find standard carriage return under the type menu under insert break character. It doesn't exist there. Wow. So, at first I asked Chris privately in private messaging, what is standard carriage return? What's the difference? And he said he actually thinks that caret P stands for bogus because he doesn't think it does anything. But actually, after some back and forth, he figured it out. And the caret B, the carriage return, if you do a find change, it will target paragraph returns, but it will ignore other break characters like frame break, column break, page break. So if you had a bunch of text where every line ended with a carriage return, you know how sometimes when you copy and paste out of Acrobat that happens?
Yep.
But you had some page breaks that you wanted to maintain, you would use that, the standard carriage return, to find and change the paragraph returns to a space or double space, right? But it would leave the frame breaks intact. If instead you use the paragraph marker, the end of paragraph marker, find every end of paragraph marker and change it to double space, it would also target all the break characters and change those into paragraph markers.
Oh, really? Hold on.
Yes. Go ahead. Check it out.
It does. Oh my
So-
gosh.
There is a use for it. I mean, I was looking in Stack Overflow at discussions of Unix and new line returns and, because I was like, carriage return, I mean, that's like a typewriter, carriage return.
Right.
But a carriage return brings you to the first line and goes down a line. But Chris is saying, no, actually, in coding or in Unix, it just brings you to the beginning of the line.
Yes.
Is
okay.
what a carriage return does. So there's some sort of internal difference, but
this is brilliant. This is so
it's
wonderfully
a good one,
obscure,
right?
and
Yes.
that's a
and
great
it's
one.
useful. It's a good one. It's a good one.
So a new paragraph will find other kinds of break characters, such as a new column or a new page, and the standard carriage return will only find a true new paragraph.
That's right.
Wow.
There you go.
Thank you.
Isn't that crazy?
That
and
is
now
crazy.
we know. Yeah, it doesn't stand for bogus. It stands for, pretty good.
That's for pretty good.
All right.
And now we do need to explain for anybody younger than us what the heck a carriage return even means. Don't you think we should cover that?
No.
Yes.
Let
yes.
them look it up. Go on
Typewriter.
Wikipedia.
We're just gonna
Right.
say typewriter.
It's a typewriter. I just
on
said that. A carriage return is like from a typewriter.
But the
where
carriage
as you're typing, the carriage is the platen, is the
is the thing
is
that
the
moves back and forth.
thing that moves back and forth. And when it gets to the end of the line, you have to hit return. So it's like this arm that you bring back, and it goes bing, and then you start a new line. So
It's a carriage that moves back and forth. That's all.
right.
Now you know. Okay.
when I was on vacation earlier this spring with my grandkids, we were at a coffee shop in a funky little town in Northern California, and they had all these cool things to play with in the window, and one of them was a manual typewriter. And both kids, 6 and 3, were fascinated with this thing.
Yeah.
You could hit keys, and the silver thing hit the ink, and then it made a letter, and then you had to hit the carriage return. And
Did I ever
I'm
talk
like-
about this thing that Glenn Fleischman was involved with? Hold on, I got
Which
it.
one?
Sorry. This 3-volume set on the history of the keyboard,
No.
which it's like 1,500 pages, and it's awesome. I'm going to put a link in here so
The
people
history,
can.
Glenn did that?
Glenn Fleischman didn't write it.
Oh.
He edited it and helped
Wow.
with the production. I don't know if you can see, but it's
Yes.
I would open up. It's gorgeous.
That
If you're
is fascinating.
if you're into typewriters and keyboards, it's great. All right.
Well, wait. While we're talking about Glenn, hang on.
Oh, jeez. So there goes the podcast.
This would be fascinating to anybody who is into print. Now, he actually wrote
Yes.
this,
Yes.
how comics were made, and it's also available in hardcover now because he just got a publishing house to pick it up
No, not yet. It'll be in next summer.
soon, right?
Yep.
Soonish.
Soonish.
And it's all about from the beginning of time when comics were in newspapers, how they got printed
Yes.
to current times. This is where I'm up to here so far.
Wow.
It's fascinating. So old-fashioned comics, new comics, all about color separations, all about the way they used to spec colors, the way they still spec colors sometimes for color comics. Really, line screens, all that interesting printing stuff. And you'll learn a new word called flong.
The flong. The flong.
Flong.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it sounds like a swear word, but it's not. Or a medical condition. Oh, I got the flongs.
Thank you for Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
That is even better than the typewriter book. I got to tell
They're
you.
both good. Okay, we'll put links to both of them, and also
we will.
let's show off our. Do you have yours
Oh,
put on?
You've got your 35-year
I got my 35-year
pin.
here.
It's hard to see.
There you go.
We are really going off tangent. You got your 30, and I've got my 40-year pin. I talked
it
about
up.
this before.
Right. Picked
From
it up
Adobe.
from Max. From Adobe Max.
Yeah. So there we go.
Okay.
Those of you who are listening instead of watching, you're like, okay, I don't see any books.
You'll
I
have to
I
get to
no idea what
YouTube
you're
really
talking
quick.
about.
Yeah.
Go over to YouTube and check it out there, or
All
on
right.
creativepro.com/podcasts on
Right.
our podcast page. You can watch the video there.
Right.
Anyway,
That's true.
we are far off topic,
That's
but
right.
it's so fun
It
to
was
talk
fun.
about all this with you, Anne-Marie.
Yeah. Same here with you, David.
Enjoy. We hope to
And-
see you all at our next event,
That's right.
and it'll be
That's
fun.
it for episode 326. Be sure to check out the show notes on our blog at CreativePro.com. We'll have links to all the places and books we mentioned. We'd love to hear what you thought of the show. Leave a comment in the show notes, start a topic on the InDesign Secrets groups and on either Facebook or LinkedIn. And until we meet again, this is Anne-Marie Concepción and
David Blatner for InDesign Secrets.